Hey everybody, and welcome to the Grumpy and Shadow Show.
I'm Grumpy,
And I'm Shadow.
and today we're discussing The Flash and Flashpoint on the CW network. Hold on a minute. Now let's get to it.
Alrighty then. Okay, everybody, so we all know that when we come back, well, when we left, our hero, Barry Allen, had gone back in time and saved his mom from getting killed, which created the Flashpoint. Flashpoint changes the timeline and future events. Now, we've seen the Flashpoint paradox, and I've read the comic books. And I think what I think we should talk about today is the differences between the two and what they'll be able to pull off on the show, as opposed to what they did in the animated series. Now, you saw them go back in time. You saw him go back in time, save his mom, and then he's searching out Batman. I don't think that they're going to be able to pull that part off because Batman is active in the movies. They may allude to Batman. I'm thinking maybe they'll, say that, something about Bruce Wayne or Thomas Wayne in the, in the first episode, but I don't think that we're going to see them. But I do know that Superman is going to be on Supergirl. They're going to have the crossover on episode 8. So I'm wondering if we're going to get some sort of play in with Superman at that point, because they already did the Dr. Wells giving him back his speed through the mini particle accelerator. So they're not going to do that whole thing with Thomas Wayne and all that. The question is, how are they going to take away his speed, or are they going to just leave him with his speed, not explaining anything, just leave him with his speed when he gets back, and not deal with having to get him his powers back? Because when he comes back, there already is a Flash. There's already Wally, who is the Flash, but he's in like a Kid Flash outfit. So, what are your opinions on how they're going to play that part out? Because they're going to have eventually. Evidently, they're going to have two Flashes, which is going to make things a little confusing for the rest of the world.
Well, sometimes during the show, sometimes when they have things happening and they happen, sometimes they never explain it.
Yeah, but I know, but sometimes, a show like that, I don't think they really want to leave plot holes, but yet I don't see any way that they could do it other than just go, it happened, which is kind of shitty, but it happens.
It happens, yeah.
Now, we know he goes back and he saves Nora Allen, and we also know that when he turns back time to the original timeline, he doesn't actually hit the original timeline thing. Some things stay from Flashpoint, and some things change back. So I'm wondering, what, in your opinion, do you think is going to stay from the original timeline? Do you think that, or from the altered timeline, do you think that his mom will still be alive? Do you think that his dad would not have been in prison, or maybe, I don't know, Wally West is still a speedster, if not the Flash?
Well, I think for Barry to get together with Irish, that he's going to have to resolve this problem of this thing with his mom and dad, and then they can move on to the plot, but who knows if that's really going to happen.
Right.
As far as what Irish and Barry, being romantic again.
Right. So,
but then Eddie's a kind of a thorn in Barry's side right now.
Well, in the animated series, yes. I mean, I believe it was Eddie. I could be wrong. Anyone who knows for sure can leave a comment below. But I'm pretty sure that Eddie and Iris were married in Flashpoint, and then when he turns everything back, they're not, and he's remarried to Iris. My question is, you got Wally West, who is the new Flash in the alternate timeline. Is he going to remain the Flash when Barry turns everything back, or is he going to still remain a speedster, or is he going to go back to being just Wally West, the guy who likes to drive fast?
I don't know.
I mean, what would you like to see happen? Do you think? I mean, do you think that the show is ready for 2 or 3 speedsters, or do you think that it should still just focus on Barry
I
Allen?
think they should just focus on Barry Allen for now and not get the plot too complicated. I think they're doing all right now, and I think if they change things too quickly, I kind of think the fans are going to like that.
Okay, now let's talk about there's been a confirmed rumor that one of the episodes is going to be directed by Kevin Smith from Jay and Silent Bob. And the title of the episode that he's directing is called Killer Frost, which means that in some capacity, Caitlin is going to be Killer Frost. Do you want to see the Earth 1 Killer Frost, girl turn into Killer Frost? Or do you want to see, or do you think it's better if they pull a Killer Frost from another timeline, and then not another timeline, another Earth like Earth 2 or 3. And here's the other thing, if Barry changes the timeline, does the Killer Frost on Earth 2 still die? Or is she the one that's going to come back?
I'd like to see a second Killer Frost, not really Caitlin, or let it be in another timeline, because she's pretty faithful and stuff. And I'd really hate to see a bad one,
a major character
change from good to bad, good to evil.
Yeah, we did find out that Caitlin and Killer Frost from Earth 2 have one thing in common, and that's that both their moms were a bitch. To put it nicely. And during the season, it's reported that Caitlin's mom is going to appear on the show. So the question is, do you think her being a bitch and being so judgmental and hard on Caitlin could force that meta gene to turn?
I think it changed the whole plot of the series, of the show.
You know what I was thinking, and this I've done a lot of YouTube browsing, and I haven't seen anyone with this theory, but it's still my theory. So, what if Killer Frost isn't Caitlin, but the Killer Frost turns out to be her mom?
Like a look-alike that looks like Caitlin.
Not that she looks like Caitlin so much as her mother is really Killer Frost. Instead of Caitlin being Killer Frost from all these worlds, because Barry changed the timeline and everything, now instead of Caitlin, it's her mom who takes on the persona of Killer Frost. And that's, even though the title of the episode is Killer Frost, what they're alluding to is the fact that it is Killer Frost, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? That would be such a big twist for Killer Frost, because everyone's used to seeing Killer Frost, Caitlin as Killer Frost. And instead of that, and they're expecting to see her come, and then Killer Frost appears, shows herself, and it's really Caitlin's mom.
Or could it be Caitlin, and for some reason the timeline changes again, and Caitlin's back to herself?
Well, it could be. It could be. What I'm saying, to put a really big twist on it, to show, because you know that Cisco, it took him a while to turn into Vibe after he got his after he got hit with the particle accelerator, because some traumatic event brought that out of him. And I'm wondering if instead of doing that latent metagene story again, that if they just change the whole actor for Killer Frost and make it her mom instead, which would mean that even though she was there when the particle accelerator went off, she wasn't affected like some other people were. Because we all know that not everybody in Central City turned into a metahuman, right? They're still
Obviously,
normal citizens.
Just a lot of the police are normal.
And they were all in Central City when the particle accelerator went off.
Joe West is normal.
Right. So it only, it only makes sense that even though Caitlin was there, she didn't get the metahuman gene, or she didn't get that metahuman transformation. And that maybe her mom was affected by the particle accelerator, and her mom was the one.
Where was Caitlin at the time this happened?
Well, she was right there in Star Labs. But just because she was there doesn't mean that it changed her. Because if you remember, the particle accelerator went off, and it didn't change Harrison Wells. It didn't change him. It didn't make, let's say he had powers, it didn't make his powers any different. It didn't take them away. It didn't add anything to him. And he was there as well as Caitlin. So if he can go through it without any changes, I don't see why Caitlin couldn't.
Unless Caitlin had the powers Caitlin always had the powers and never really accelerated that until now.
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't know exactly how that metahuman gene thing works. I know that they were changed by the particle accelerator, but I don't know why those specific people yet. It seems like everyone who was changed into something that had to do with their line of work or what they were doing at the time. Multiplex was working on cloning, so he turned into, a billion. He could make 1 billion clones of himself. And there was Turtle, who was always slow, but now he's even slower. And there was Dr. Light, who was a scientist working on stuff, and she got the powers of what she was working on. So what I'm saying is, in order for Killer Frost to get the Killer Frost effect, wouldn't she have to have been doing something with like ice cubes at the time?
Now, what was we have Caitlin's boyfriend Ronnie.
Okay.
And he came as a fireball.
Oh, Firestorm. Yeah.
Firestorm.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, I can explain that in that the guy he became Firestorm with was researching the Firestorm principle at the time, and Ronnie was, I believe, some type of engineer. I don't know if it was a nuclear engineer or what it was, but he was an engineer because he was working at Star Labs on the particle accelerator.
And at one point in time, Ronnie did save the Flash.
Right. So Ronnie was caught in the particle accelerator the same time that the guy who's with him in Firestorm got hit by the particle accelerator, and somehow they merged. But I don't. And I think they became Firestorm strictly because the older gentleman, was working on the Firestorm protocol at the time, and that's how they got mixed together. Kind of, sort of makes somewhat sense. Yeah. So I think that when we come back, we're going to see what changes Barry made, and what I really want to see is I don't think that they should hold Flashpoint for too long. I'm thinking at the most they should hold it for 4 episodes, and then let him turn things back. So it's going to affect. It's supposed to affect every other show. So the Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl, somehow his Flashpoint is going to affect all 3 shows. Now, the Arrow said, Stephen Amell from Arrow said that now he's changed his story to it's going to have a major impact on his show.
Well, obviously what they're doing on Flashpoint, what they're doing in the series, they can't do exactly what they're doing on the series as they're doing the Flashpoint.
Right.
Yeah,
I know we're not going to see, like Wonder Woman and all that, but Hal Jordan played a small but significant role in the Flashpoint paradox, and he never got his Green Lantern powers. My question is, we saw a kind of like an Easter egg to Hal Jordan in one of the episodes of the Arrow. Are we now going to get to see or meet the Green Arrow Hal Jordan in the Flashpoint because of Flashpoint? Or are they still going to keep him at arm's length and not introduce him to the series yet?
You might hold that off for a little while.
Right, because I know that in Super Friends, no, Justice League, Barry and Hal were like best friends. But and that's why Barry keeps going to Coast City to get all those pizzas, which I wish I could do. Believe me, there'd be a stack of pizzas you guys wouldn't even be able to see it. But I'd like, that's why he keeps going to Coast City, because that's where Hal is from.
He didn't say one pizza, he did say pizzas.
No, damn Skippy. But yeah, Hal is from Coast City, and that's where Barry keeps going to get the pizza. So I'm wondering, they're dropping the hint that he's going to Coast City. You saw the guy, the pilot with the jacket in Arrow. Are they coming closer to bringing him onto the show, or are they just going to keep pushing these Easter eggs till everybody gets sick of them?
And they might change the whole, they might do a 380-degree turn. You just never know sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, Flashpoint's supposed to affect Arrow, and somehow it affects Diggle. Now, I don't know how he's in the Army when we get there, and it seems like everything is the way it's supposed to be, and the way they left it when they ended the last season 4. So I don't know how much of an influence that can be on Arrow, but I know that they're supposed to affect all 3 shows. All 4 shows are going to be affected. So, with that in mind, some of the things I'd like to see happen because of Flashpoint are I'd like to see that, well, in my head, logically, it makes sense that Barry became a CSI, one of them criminal investigators, because his mom died. And he was in the lab that day when the particle accelerator went off because his mom died, and he became a CSI. But if he saves his mom, logically to me, he wouldn't have been... he wouldn't have gone the route of a CSI, and he wouldn't be in the lab at the time of the particle accelerator, which means that he never would have become the Flash.
So if he saves his mother, he's gonna change the whole plot of the series.
Right. Now, are we going to see a new Flash origin, or are they just going to leave it the way it is? I don't quite. I would like to see him not have his speed and have someone else fix the timeline. That would make sense. And it would make for good TV.
If they at least have the point where he couldn't save his mother, but he was able to the point to prove who killed her. Maybe his father be out of jail.
Oh yeah,
that's a possibility.
Barry's dense enough. I don't see why he just doesn't go back and snap a picture of the dude.
I know.
And go to drop it off at the police station with.
But he was also fast, the one that killed his mom.
Right. That's the guy that he stops. The guy who kills his mom.
The yellow blur.
Now, why can't he go back to the day he saved his mom, and instead of saving his mom, take a picture of the big yellow blur of who it is, get a clear shot of him because he's moving at the same speed, drop it off at the police station, and say this is the person who killed Nora Allen.
Good point.
Yeah, he would miss his mom, but it would save the rest of the world.
Yeah. And keep the plot going on the Flash.
Huh. There are so many. We should be writers. That's what we should do. we should start writing for the Flash. Start writing for half of these comics, because half of these shows, they really need our help.
Even though we're not talking about this now, but maybe we should start writing for the WWE.
Yeah. Well, I know that Arrow needs a lot of help with that Olicity thing. I don't know why they took it the way where they did, but that's a topic for another day. Right now, I'd like to say during Flashpoint, I'd like to see Patty come back. I'd like to see that throw some kind of a wrench in the Barry Iris storyline after Flashpoint ends. That maybe she's still back, and there's some sort of something going on between them that Barry, because Barry was in that close relationship with her, and then she left, and then he started to actually, work on the Iris thing. So if Patty comes back and stays, I'd like to see him conflicted because he likes Patty, but he knows what he had with Iris, that type of thing, and see how he can, work out. Being the fastest man in the world, he's also the fastest thinker, and seeing how he can work out a solution to his feelings for both women.
Well, it seems like that he's really in love with Iris. Iris.
Yeah, he is, and but he also had strong feelings for Patty. And she was so quirky that they made a great couple together. And so I'd like to see some sort of play with that after Flashpoint is done. And my other question is, since Flashpoint happened, and this is something that only my tiny little brain works on when I'm supposed to be sleeping. But since Flashpoint happened, Cisco works for Barry right now. But in the Flashpoint, he's the richest man on Earth, and so he therefore doesn't work with Barry. So does that mean that he's not going to meet Kendra at the coffee shop like he did, and she's not going to turn into Hawkgirl, and he's not going to help save her from Vandal Savage? And if that's the case, what happens to that whole storyline where Flash broke the timeline twice when Vandal Savage killed the Earth the first time? It's so confusing that I'd really like to see if they touch on all these little points.
But I think he can only break the timeline so many times also.
Well, yeah, and you know that he did it to save Iris, and you know that he did it to save the world when Vandal Savage killed everyone. And you know he did it to go back and save his mom the first time, but he didn't save her. And then he broke it a fourth time to go back and save her again, and he did save her. So that's like 4 or 5 times. Oh no! And he brought his speed remnant back from like 10 minutes before in that final battle in the last episode against Zoom. So it's like 5 times he's manipulated the timeline. So I'm pretty sure that at this point it's going, because he's done so much damage to it, you're going to see some things overlap. And it'd be interesting to see what overlaps, what stays, what goes, and what gets written in as never being happened or being canon that never happened in the first 2 seasons.
Just have to see what happens in the show.
Yeah, it definitely has my interest, and I'm pretty sure it should have yours as well. So what I'd like to see you do is leave your thoughts and your opinions on the Flashpoint, whether you think Patty should and Flash should be together, or if you think that Barry and Iris should be, or even if you think that Barry should still be with the girl who, pardon my memory, but being old and all that. If the Flash should still be in a relationship with Professor Light or Dr. Light, the girl that worked with Iris. But there's a girl that worked with Iris in the newsroom that dated Barry for a short time, and maybe that relationship will come back. Leave your opinions as to who you want to see Barry with and what big bad you want to see for the upcoming season. I know that we're getting Gorilla Grodd back this season. I don't know if they're going to do King Shark, but I do know that they're supposed to do Mirror Master, Tot, Dr. Alchemy, and a few others. So it'd be interesting to find out who you would want to see as the next big bad. Whether you want to keep it away from the speedsters, whether there's someone specific from the comic books that Barry or that Wally went up against, because I know most of you are used to the Wally West Flash. So someone that Wally had a rivalry with that you'd like to see on the show, as a big bad or even as an episodic bad, leave your comments down there and let us know, whatever your thoughts are. And with that, I'd like to say, have a good night, everyone.
Thanks for watching.